United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll call, please?
President Robinson, Vice President Bowen,
Present.
Secretary Triplett, President Treasurer Creighton,
Present.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Present.
Trustee Gavin,
Present.
Trustee Doyle. Motion is a quorum has been established.
And can I have a motion to approve the board meeting? I'm sorry, approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
It's been moved and second by Treasurer Creighton and Trustee Rocket.
Sure.
Please, I would like to make a note that board report B4 was left off the agenda that was emailed out. She has made that correction, and so it's on the agenda, on the screen.
Thank you. What'd you say? May I please have a call for the vote? Secretary Triplett.
Vice President Bowen. Wait a
Yes.
minute, we don't have a motion to
Oh,
approve
yes.
the approval of the
Yeah,
agenda,
that was
do.
the motion.
which was,
Made by Creighton and
Creighton.
seconded by Rocket Martin.
Yes,
so we're ready for the vote.
yes,
Vice President Bowen,
yes,
Secretary Triplett, yes, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
thank you. We are going to start with reading our norms of collaboration. It is pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intention. The Benton Harbor Board of Education school norms are: we will treat each other with respect, we will listen to learn, we will refrain from side conversations, we will use our time wisely in starting and ending our meetings on time. We will challenge ideas and not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration, and I'm sorry, I read that backwards, so. And this now leads us to our discussion on public comments on the agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to comment on our agenda items? If so, please take the mic. Stan. And before we go, I'm going to read our public comment statement. The Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 2 areas of comment on the agenda of what you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items and open public comment. We request that each interested participant complete a public participation form using legible writing to ensure that responses are appropriate and properly focused. Per Benton Harbor Area School Bylaws 0167.3, which governs the board participation at your board meetings, we request that you preface your comments with your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes. 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once at the same topic until any other person has had the opportunity to speak on that topic. Participants may remove their masks when addressing the board. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to the staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as Vice President, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. Please ensure that your public participation form includes your contact information as requested. If you have any questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bhas.org. Thank you. And you may take this.
Good evening, everyone. This is an open comment that I came to bring. My name is Jaime Cervantes. I am the pastor at the First Church of God in Benton Heights. I am also a resident of Benton Harbor. And I've been a member of this community for almost 5 years now. And what I wanted to just come before you to talk about something that will become an agenda item, I assure you, and that is the influx of Spanish-speaking populations in our community. I've experienced it at the church where I serve to the point where we've had to start a Spanish-speaking service. But I know that this is happening across all systems, across different departments and services. And so it's going, I assure you that this will become the new normal for us. And so how do we provide effective language access to these populations? And so it's my heart, it's something close to my heart. I am a first generation son of immigrant parents. When I showed up to school, I didn't speak a word of English. I quickly assimilated, but my parents did not. And so I had the privilege of meeting with our superintendent briefly yesterday, and we kind of talked about some of these issues. And I feel that it's extremely important that we figure this out. Hiring teachers, all of these things, giving instruction to English learners is a challenge. I understand that, but I really believe that communicating with their parents is low-hanging fruit. And the parent is the one that actually makes the decision whether to pull the child or not. So we really cannot afford to lose more students. Our schools cannot afford to lose more students. And so I encourage you, I exhort you humbly to really begin to move in that direction where we are effectively communicating with the parents of these children, because ultimately they will make the decision. They just want to be communicated with. And if we can do that, then we keep those kids in this school system, and it's better for all of us. So that's my heart. And again, we're seeing this across systems and across services, whether it's healthcare, it's at the courts, it's in the school. Everywhere you look, this is going to be a growing need, and it's going to be our new normal. And so we've got to figure this out. Thank you very much for listening. I'm here to serve in any capacity that I can. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else that has any comments on agenda items?
Hello, my name is Denia Long. I had an incident with my son at Discovery Center where he was hit by a teacher. And it wasn't properly investigated. So I'm trying to see what is the school policy, like when it comes to stuff like that.
You can explain to her
We
the
don't-
process for, so she can explain, but we don't actually respond in person.
Yeah, we do not respond to concerns, comments, sorry. But if you fill out that piece of paper right there. And you already did it, did you turn it and write your complaint out
Yes,
and turned it into
yes,
them?
yes.
Okay, then we will get back with you once.
Okay, because I've been getting a runaround. said they did an investigation, and they told me that they was gonna contact me once the investigation was over. They put the teachers on leave, and then I went up there and they was there after school break. So I'm trying to figure out why didn't they contact me and let me know what happened with the investigation or anything. He don't feel comfortable with going back to school after the teacher put her hands on him. So I'm trying to figure out like the situation, like how we was gonna deal with that. Cause nobody did nothing about it.
Yes. Thank you. We,
So Ms. Long, we hear you. The process for public comments is for you to come to the board, address
Okay.
your concerns, give us as many details as you can in your 3 minutes. And then after that, the superintendent and someone from his team should contact you. So this
Okay,
is your
'cause I've been
platform.
contacting his secretary, and she been getting us a runaround. Every time she say he's in a meeting or something. So it's been since November that the incident happened. And it's February, so.
Okay,
It been-
can you ensure that you've signed the paper with your contact information
Yeah,
and the superintendent or someone will reach out to you
okay, that's fine.
immediately? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton, and thank you. Is there anyone else with any comments or public comments on the agenda items? Being none, we will now go to the approval of meeting minutes from our regular session of 1/23/24. May I have a motion and support on that, please?
So move.
It's been moved by Secretary Triplett and second by Trustee Rocket. Is there any comments on it? There being no comments, can we call for the vote, Secretary Triplett?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin, Trustee Gavin,
Abstain.
motion carried.
Okay, we are now on the agenda of our board business. All comments will be limited to 2 minutes per trustee per topic. We are going to discuss our review of the board meeting calendar, board report B1. The Benton Harbor Board of Education reviewed its annual calendar meeting at the January 8th, 2024 organization meeting. A conflict became apparent regarding the work session scheduled for the fourth Tuesday of December 12, 24. It is recommended that a revision be made to the approved calendar to reflect the change in the date of the work session to be 12/17/24. Facts and analysis. The change in the date is due to the absence of staff during the winter break. Policy reference 0165.1 regular meetings, strategic plan reference. Communication, Benton Harbor area schools will engage and inform all stakeholders to maximize the district's support. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to adopt the revised board meeting calendar as presented, and it is approved for presentation to the board.
I make a motion that we approve the calendar with the noted amendments or adjustments.
It's been a motion on the floor by Treasurer Creighton, supported by Secretary Triplett. Is there any comments? There being no comments, can we please call for the vote, Secretary Triplett?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin, Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. This now leads us to our next agenda item. The Michigan Association of School Board of Directors vote. Reason, the Benton Harbor Board consideration, the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education must vote to elect representatives for the Michigan Association of School Board, MASB Board of Directors. Facts and analysis. The Benton Harbor Area School Board has met and discussed the biographies of candidates presented by the MASB. They have come to a consensus on who to select and now move to vote on the matter. The Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education has one vote to put forth to any candidate in Region 6 for the 2024 election. Policy reference, none. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education vote to select the candidate. And if you look at your attachment on Region 6, we have the following that we can select. Robert Becker. He is of Berry Intermediate School District. Pamela Dickinson, Comstock Public Schools. Elizabeth Odell, St. Joe County ISD School District. Andrew Robinson, Bering County School District, Bering Research School District. And those are who we are able to select for Region 6.
Mr. President, may I make
Vice
a,
President.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, may I make a motion?
Yes, you
Can
may.
I would like to nominate Pamela Dixon. I mean, we have to choose, we haven't chosen one, so we have to come to a consensus on choosing one. So I'm looking at Pamela Dixon, and I'll tell you why. For the fact that she has the MASB certification, the officers held and just the experience,
Go ahead, go ahead.
just the experience that she has. Kalamazoo County, Comstock is not that far from us. And I believe, you know, she would have Benton Harbor's interests at heart also.
Okay. Is there any additional comments? Or any other nominations besides Pamela Dickinson?
Well, I too, when I look at, when I looked at all the candidates, and I do see, Mr. Robinson there as well. But, you know, when I've had an opportunity through MASB, years of going there and to see the work of this lady, Pamela Dickinson. And I've seen her, you know, do the work. I've seen her do the fight. I've seen her advocate with lobbyists and all types of things that relate to public education in this area. And so, as you look at it too, you look at the agreement statement where she's fighting some of the same fights that we're fighting in her district. And she has served, she is an incumbent at this particular position. So I think that she did an amazing job. I don't know if we're actually putting a nomination on the floor or how we're actually going to move with this, what it is that we need to do, but we need to identify which one of these people that we are going to send as a vote from Benton Harbor Area School.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments or nominations?
Vice President Bowens,
Yes, Treasurer Creighton?
at this time, someone can, make a motion to, nominate her. We can vote on that. And then,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
We can vote still.
Galveston, where's this record?
Oh, right, she
Make a
made
motion to
the,
delete.
I'm gonna.
well,
Okay,
we still have a quorum, so we have to,
okay.
go on.
I also, yes, I do like Pamela Dickinson's resume and Comstock Public Schools, what they're going through. You're right, trustee. I'm Secretary Triplett. I do support her nomination. Is there a motion for us to vote on nominating Pamela Dickinson?
So moved.
That has been supported by trustee Gavin. Is there anyone that would like to
She made
second
a
it?
motion, so we're supporting it.
Supporting it? Yes, we need a second.
Support.
Okay, and it's been supported by Treasurer Creighton. Thank you.
You can call for the vote.
Mr. Triplett, Secretary Triplett, can you please call for the vote?
Vice President Bowens,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. This now leads us to our next ward. B2, sorry. Sorry, I don't have B2. I'm gonna have to look up here, sorry. This is the resolution. Oh, that's why, sorry, I thought it was before. Resolution to vote on tabled items from organizational meeting. Date February 13th, 2024. The Board of Education tabled the following two items from the agenda. One, January 8th of 2024. Membership in the legislative delegate to 2024 Michigan Association of School Board. MASB, vote on membership to Michigan Association of School Board cost. From July 1st, 23 to July 30th of 2024 was $4,090.44. New rates are not available at this time. And we were going to select a representative and alternate. I thought this was tabled still. No. Facts and analysts. A decision regarding these items is necessary to continue the day-to-day operations in the district. Policy reference 0151, organizational meeting. Facilities and operations, the Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a physically responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. The Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education vote to decide on these items listed on the to decide on the items listed above. Approved for presentation to the Board of Education.
I make a motion to approve staff report B2.
Support.
It has been support.
I'm
motion
sorry,
by-
I apologize, Vice President Bowens. I would like to make a motion to approve staff report B2 with the nomination of, so I have a question, since you cut me off, Liz. So is this something that we should do during our discussion? Or is this something that should have been done during the work session? Do we have a representative and an alternate already?
I can answer that. There was a discussion of a person and an alternate at the work session.
Okay, so that should be filled in already. So
It's-
who's the
The
representative?
representative was trustee Rocket Martin and the alternate was trustee Gavin.
And that's for MS,
MAS.
okay.
Not for MES.
I don't remember that. I thought that was for the Berrien, that was for Berrien Risa.
MASB representative.
Oh, okay,
She's
so that
the
was back.
delegate that goes to the MASB leadership.
So that's
and votes.
Ms. Gavin.
And then you're the alternate.
And I'm the alternate.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, Vice President Bowens, I would like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve staff report B2 with trustee Gavin as the representative and trustee Rocket Martin as the alternate.
Okay, can we
I
have a,
second the motion.
it has been supported to have trustee Gavin as the representative and trustee Raquel as the alternate. It has been a motion filed by Treasurer Creighton and second by Ms. Raquel.
Question, comments?
Questions and comments, sorry.
Well, I think we got it kind of mixed up, as it relates to who represented from MASB. It was trustee Gavin and I was the alternate for MASB. However, I am fine with, trustee Rocket Martin being in that particular space for that. We kind of got the Baron Risa information mixed up with MASB.
I honestly don't remember us talking about MASB at all.
Yeah, well, we did, she represented us at MASB and I was the alternate
Gotcha.
for there. And so they go through and each, district that, have a representative there.
You still want to do it?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments? There being none, Secretary Triplett, can you please call for the vote?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, no. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. This now leads us to our next agenda items of the superintendent. I'm
So
sorry.
staff
committee-
report B4?
Yes, sorry,
Board
staff report
report.
before. Would you like to?
Sure, I would love
Thank
to.
you.
Hold on
Sorry.
Go ahead.
When I look at this tally sheet, and one thing that I think that is very, very important. And I'm here looking here, staff report B1, staff report B2, staff report B3. I don't see a staff report B4. I don't see any place on this tally sheet for the improvement, the approved for the minutes of the meeting and what have you. And I think one thing that's very, very important, because this is very uncomfortable to me. And I think before it comes before this Board of Education, that people would focus in on what it is that they are hired and what they're supposed to do. When it comes before this Board of Education, this stuff needs to be in order. We're looking this packet here that's presented for the president of the board to lead and guide. These staff reports and things are missing. And so it makes us look discombobulated. And this is very concerning. I don't know how to go through and do the tally sheet. So at this time, I would like to defer my keeping of these particular records and give that to the administrative assistant of the superintendent so she can make the necessary adjustments to what is missing on this document. So I'm not sure. Right now, we're on staff report, what, B4?
Yes, B4, sir, was left off the agenda. We talked about it in the work session.
So we just finished staff report B2.
B3, he skipped around on accident.
Just finish.
So we've done B1, 2, and 3 now.
Yeah. Because it wasn't in our package.
So they were done out of order on accident.
Okay, so right now, this report, what I have tallied here, according to the tally sheet that I have, it says, and I don't see why we wouldn't go in numerical order. But what I have here on my tally sheet, the votes for the representative from MASB and the alternate for MASB, I have that under B2.
Yeah, so I think, and maybe we can defer to Dr. Buss or Liz, but it wasn't hyperlinked in blue, so I think that's how it got skipped. It looked like it was a support for B1 versus a new board report for B2.
Well, what I'll do at this particular time, I'll give this information to, she can continue and do this work moving forward. As I stated, she can go forth and do the sheet as far as the tallying is concerned.
Perfect, thanks. Am I able to move on?
Yes, Treasurer
Okay.
Creighton.
So, board report B4, is a resolution to revise policy. Reason for board approval, the Board of Education shall adopt bylaws and policies for the organization and operation of this board in the district and shall be bound to follow such bylaws and policies, facts and analysis. Bylaws and policies shall be adopted, amended, repealed, or suspended by a majority vote of the board. The board may adopt, amend, or repeal rules of order for its own operation by simple resolution of the board passed by a majority of those present and voting. The adoption, modification, repeal, or suspension of a board bylaw or policy shall be recorded in the minutes of the board. Bylaws and policies shall be printed in the board policy manual. Policy reference 0122 board powers, 0131.1 bylaws and policies, and 4111 creating a position. And all of those were listed just because they overlap a lot. And I wanted it to be inclusive. Strategic plan reference facilities operations, Ben Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that would ensure physical and psychological safety. Recommended action that the Ben Harbor Area School Board of Education votes to approve the revision of the Ben Harbor Area Schools revised reissued Neola bylaws, policy 3130 and 4130 to add the following language. The board shall approve the transfer, reassignment of all professional staff and support staff in the district and adjunct staff. At this time, I make a motion to approve staff report B4.
It has been a motion put on the floor by Treasurer Creighton, and it has been supported by Secretary Triplett. Is there any comments on this?
Yes, I'd like to say something. I strongly disapprove of this policy for the simple fact that we hired a superintendent to do that. And if we get involved in that's almost like the day-to-day operations of the district, and we need not be part of that. Plus, it will also trickle down. I don't see this not trickling down to principals who have to run their buildings, who have to do reassignments in their buildings, reassign teachers in classroom positions. If I don't have enough kids in first grade, I may have to take that teacher and put her in third. If the superintendent sees that he has openings in buildings where teachers are certified and they can fill those spots, I think he should be able to do that, or he should, he or she should be able to do that. It has worked in the past. I was one of those people that got reassigned many times. I just did it. The other thing that bothers me with this is, why wouldn't you want to be assigned to a place? We are here to serve our kids. We're here to serve the students of Benton Harbor area schools. And if my reassignment and my certification would ensure that those kids would have a teacher that could teach them that subject versus being on the computer or versus doing virtual stuff, why wouldn't I want to do that if it's for the betterment of the district? So I think the superintendent should always have the right to make that kind of inter assignment in a school district. We may not even be available to vote when it may be a necessary thing that has to take place right away. So I think we would be making a terrible, horrible, absolutely awful mistake if we take that right away from the superintendent's office.
Vice President Bowens.
And that's my professional judgment. And that's 40 years of experience in working in Benton Harbor area schools and being reassigned at times.
Thank you for your comment, trustee Rocket, Treasurer Creighton.
Yes, sir. So according to board policy, if there's an emergency, it's currently in the policy and it's the same for new hires. If there's an emergency, that can be done to keep the district going in the case of an emergency, and the board is to be informed by the next meeting, or emergency meeting should be called. So that is a current practice. Right now, what I am asking, and if you defer back to our board meeting for February 14th, 2023, this was something that we asked about. We asked for a complete list of vacancies and positions, and we are yet to receive it. We have constantly, and if you guys would like for me to send that over, or Liz can pull up the board minutes for our February 14th meeting of 2023 and project that on the screen. So again, this would just be just like our hires. When the superintendent is looking to hire someone, he makes a recommendation to the board and we add it to the agenda and we vote on it. And so this would simply means for the decisions of making major transfers, that would be done by a board vote. The recommendation will be made to the board and it will be done by a board vote. Now, this is a matter of a vacancy from a first grade to a third grade position that would constitute an emergency. And so that is okay according to the policy as it is written. So I'm not asking to change that. I am asking that we put some accountability in place. This has been a concern for over a year and we are yet to receive the correct communications. And I've been on the HR committee this is my 4th year now, and we have still not received this information.
Madam President,
Um,
Mr. President.
I-
Trustee Creighton, I'm sorry. Thank you, trustee Creighton, Secretary Triplett, then the superintendent, and then if trustee Gavin doesn't want to speak, I'll go to you. And then trustee Gavin, and then I'll go to you, Ms. Rocket. Okay, so Secretary Triplett.
With 40 years of experience, professional experience as well in this district. 40 years of basically living and being in this community. This, first of all, it concerns me that everything that's done here is always looked upon as something personal. When we talk about, if you could put the policy back up on the screen, pause my time while you find it.
The policy that we're voting on,
Of the
the
resolution.
resolution, please.
Do we have a heater?
3130 and 3140. 3130 and 3140. 3130 and 3140.
So we didn't get that. That would have to be up. It only got 3 sheets here at my table with RT on it.
Yeah, no.
Are you asking for the resolution or the policy?
The resolution.
The
okay.
resolution, I'm sorry, Liz, the resolution.
Can you pull up Can you take that up a little further? So I can see down at the bottom.
Scroll down, Liz.
The role of the Board of Education is governance, oversight, and accountability. The recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the revision of the Benton Harbor Area Schools revised, reissued Neola bylaws. All of these is at 3130, 4130. The board shall approve the transfer, reassignment of all professional staff and support staff in the district and EDGE staff. We are in a very unique position now where we have third party doing a lot of the work here in Benton Harbor Area School. This does not take away the power of the superintendency. It is simply saying that all of these different positions, the transfers and all of those things, it does not mean that we're not going to support what the superintendent is doing. But what it is going to do, I mean, is there just all of a sudden an emergency on Thursday night, I'm gonna move this person, transfer this, that.
The microphone, please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that this power is taken away from anybody that's sitting in this position. It's saying things are different the way our district is, and we need to rein in. We need to rein in some situations and circumstances. It is our responsibility. Nobody in here wants to step out, micromanage, but there have been too many times when situations and things have happened in this district that we know nothing about. Let's keep it real. We cannot sit up here and act like that has not been the situation. It is not just under this administration. And this is our responsibility as Board of Education members to make sure that we rein in. And that's all this is. This has nothing to do with anything else. We have allowed this to happen and nobody has said anything. Accountability is one of our responsibilities. And so if somebody is sitting here and they're feeling uncomfortable in some, it's not personal. And what we did 40 years ago, 50 years ago, this is not the same district. This is not a district. This district, the majority of our positions are outsourced through EDGE staff and all of this. This would also support our superintendent as well. So when these things are done and brought before this board in a manner in which it should be anyhow, then it's going to support him and it doesn't leave him out there by himself for any interpretation or anything, because I think this is why we're in some of the situations that we're in right now. But if the board support it, then he can stand or she can stand and go forth in power and do their work. That's my reason for seconding this particular resolution. That's it. That's my only reason. It has nothing to do with our current superintendent or anything. It has everything to do with where Benton Harbor Area Schools is right now and how we need to go forth in our areas of governance, oversight, and accountability.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Trustee Gavin?
Thank you. What I would say is that I think that this is an important policy change. The evidence shows that consistency is what leads to success and greatness. And everybody used the argument that we should keep our superintendent, not look for anybody, because we needed consistency. But then underneath that, we have all of these changes being made underneath the superintendent. And that goes hand in hand. If we're saying that it's important to have a consistent leader, then it's also important for the leader to keep his leadership in place and give them an opportunity to develop, give them an opportunity to work within that role. And, you know, what I would say is that as a board. This is just an added layer of oversight. And this board generally agrees with the superintendent on many things. All it does is it gives us one extra layer of transparency so the public has an idea of what's going on. And I'm all in favor of transparency. I'm in favor of consistency. I think that is what's needed. I think that inconsistency has been Benton Harbor's biggest problem. It's been that loss of staff. It's been that moving around of staff. That's what leads to a lot of the chaotic situations that we have. And so I believe that, having this in place so that we can get a better understanding of what's going on is huge. The only thing that I would recommend is that we add an amendment to it to read of all long-term professional staff and support staff in the district and edu staff. I think folks should have the right to move, short-term subs around and things like that. But I would just add that one term of long-term professional staff and support staff in the district and edu staff.
It's up to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vice.
Sorry, thank you, trustee Gavin.
She already spoke.
Dr. Butts.
Thank you, Vice President Bowens. In reference to this policy change, I do understand the need for transparency and all that was mentioned. However, with this policy change, it will affect the day-to-day operations of the district, especially when it comes to edu staff when we need an emergency. And I heard Treasurer Creighton state with emergency moves, but also when there's a need to transfer staff, even the long-term staff, that will affect children, that will affect our finances. Even the movements that have been made under my administration have been communicated to the board with full transparency, with a detailed explanation. And so I do hope that you take that into consideration. I understand adding the layer, but also when we talk about when the board shall approve, I'd just like to remind this month we have 4 board meetings, and we are going to a 2-meeting board month with 6 committee meetings, which puts me at 8 meetings per month. That is, and if any other positions need to be approved in between that, we will be calling more board meetings, therefore putting more pressure on the board. So before this vote is taken into consideration, it does give the appearance and the optics that the superintendent's authority is being diminished.
Vice President Bowens,
Treasurer Creighton.
just as a point of clarity from what a board member and the superintendent stated, if you look at policy 3120 in its entirety and also 4120, it states in there, the temporary employment of professional staff members prior to approval by the board is authorized when their employment is required to maintain continuity in the educational program. Employment shall be recommended to the board at the next regular meeting. So with such a policy that's currently in place, this is what should be happening already, that when you make a move, it's temporary, similar to our superintendent who's interim for about 1.5 years, right? So when you have someone in position and there's a vacancy, you have the autonomy to give them an interim position or to transfer them on an interim basis, and then their permanent employment is approved by the Board of Education. I've sat on this board where people were appointed and they were in that position. They were hired by edu staff, and then before we knew it, a position came open in the district and they was transferred when their position with edu staff had never been approved. So facts and analysis, definitely trying to be polite, but and don't want to air a bunch of dirty laundry. However, this position, for the record, the way that it is written, this policy does not change that. It does not depower or devalue the superintendent. It's providing accountability, which is already currently in the policy, that employment shall be recommended to the board at the next regular board meeting. So I'm not sure if these policies are under interpretation. And so that's why I wanted to be clear that in these transfers, it must require a board vote. So it can be assumed currently the way it is written, but I want it to be explicit.
Thank you, Treasurer.
And I'm gonna ask that we call for the vote. If it doesn't get approved, then that's fine.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. I can call for the vote. Yes, it's been a call for the vote. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
No, absolutely not.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, sorry. We're going to the next item on the agenda. And that is the superintendent.
Committee assignments.
Committee assignments. I'm sorry, Liz, can you click on that, please? Madam President has assigned us to the following committees for the 2024 board committee assignments. Finance is Treasurer Creighton, Trustee Doyle, and Trustee Rocket. Facility Tech and Operations is President Robinson, Secretary Triplett, and Vice President Bowens. Curriculum and Special Ed, sorry, is Triplett, Secretary Triplett, Trustee Rocket, and Trustee Gavin. Human Resources is President Robinson, Treasurer Creighton, and Vice President Bowens. Policy Discipline, which is meet as needed, is Trustee Gavin, Trustee Doyle, and Trustee Rocket. Those are your 2024 committee assignments that was assigned by Board President Robinson. Is there any discussion on that? Therefore, being no discussion or comments, we are now into our superintendent section.
Thank you, Vice President Bowens. As we went through the last work session, we read over the policy, so I'll just go straight to the staff report for reason for board consideration for the Benton Harbor Area School Boards of Education to review the updated Neola policy adoptions as listed below. Facts and analysis: twice a year, Neola sends out new and/or revised policies to school districts. The central administration reviews them and notates their suggestions. These are given to the board for review and approval. The following policies are recommended for revision: students, 5330.20 opioid antagonist, policy reference 0131.1 bylaws and policies, strategic plan reference, facilities and operations. Benton Harbor Area Schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. The recommended action that Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the Benton Harbor Area Schools revised Neola Board Policy 5330.02 as presented.
Point of clarity. So is it two staff reports for the two different sets of policies?
Yes.
So which ones is included in the first staff report? All of the ones up until 3120 or Vice President Bowens?
Yes, I'm sorry.
As a point of clarity, we just revised policy 3130. So I would hate for us to now replace it with this policy. So I think what might need to happen is that we actually now revise that policy to add the language of this policy to the policy that we just approved.
I have a question.
So you're wanting us to go back and amend the policy that we just voted on to reflect this policy
And or table this until we can make that revision. Are these things that need to be done by a certain date? Maybe we can ask Trustee Gavin. Or Dr.
Trustee
Buck.
Gavin?
So
Would-
I know
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Trustee Gavin. I know there was some that we had, not the 3130 and the not 3131. Wait, just a minute, hold on for a second. So the one you just did was for policy
3130 and,
3130 and 4130.
okay.
What we're looking at now, that's 31. So 3130 will need to be removed, but 3131 and 3142, 3220, 3120, 3139 all need to, and 1420 and 0122. So you only need to remove one because the other ones need to be approved by tonight per Michigan law. Those are the ones that we were talking about per Michigan law.
Vice President Bowens, I would like to make a motion to approve staff report S1 and remove 3130.
Okay, is there a motion, a second on that? Sorry.
Second.
Okay, it's been second by, did you second it?
Yes.
Yes, it's been motioned by trustee, treasurer Creighton. Seconded by
Gavin.
trustee Gavin. Sorry, this is a little bit, I never did it this long. Can we have a call? Oh,
Question.
any questions?
I do have a question.
Trustee Gavin has been holding her hand
Okay.
up for a while.
Thank you. So we're removing it because of the changes. And that puts it back in rotation for another reading.
Yep.
And I'm wondering, is it possible to just, reconcile that language today? It seems like the only difference is the first sentence.
I couldn't find it, I'm sorry. That's why I was like, I was trying to scuffle in and see if I could. Can we pull that policy up? 3130. Yeah, the revision. It's not, I don't see it in here. So it looked like it was just he or she was taken out and superintendent was added? Is that right?
That's apparently, that's all there is.
Yes.
Vice President Bowens,
130.
Yes,
I would like to amend my motion.
yes.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve staff report. Staff report S2. We currently have a new policy 3130. So I would like to make a motion that we replace 3130 on this list. And in 3130 change he or she to superintendent.
There we go.
Okay. Liz, do you have that?
So the new policy with the change, he or she to superintendent. The newer policy that was approved a few minutes ago will replace this policy in here because now it's the current policy. And in that policy 3130 that was just approved a few minutes ago, the he or she would need to be changed to superintendent. I make a motion to support.
Okay, so treasurer Creighton has made the motion to support.
As
And
one.
between he or she to putting the word superintendent to make the changes. And it's been seconded by
A second.
trustee Gavin. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Liz, can you call the vote?
Yes.
Oh,
Um. 3131. The green is what Neola
Yes.
has agreed upon, right?
Right.
Okay, so we did consider their working
Yes, ma'am.
on this policy.
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
That was the email that Chris emailed back and Chairman Gavin from the policy committee responded on that
I
one.
know we tend to like to send our research on our policies before we do them.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
I have one other question, Vice President Bowens.
yes,
If the policy committee can help us with, I noticed in 0122, a lot of responsibilities of the board were taken out. Did we receive explanation on why those things were taken out?
trustee Gavin.
Thank you. I apologize if you did not receive that explanation. I will forward it over. What was indicated to us is not that it was so much of taking the powers away from the board, but increasing the bargaining capabilities with the new administration moving from a Snyder that regime, these new laws are kind of the opposite of that, if that makes sense. But I will forward that email, what I received from Neola, I will forward that to you all. And I'm pleased with the explanation that was given.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great.
So being further no discussion, is
So
there,
you put 3130 back on.
so we put 3130 back on the agenda.
Because we have a new policy 3130, and in our new 3130 policy, we changed the word he or she to superintendent.
Superintendent,
That is correct.
that is correct. Okay, so can we call for the vote, please? Secretary Triplett.
I'm trying to see this resolution.
And S2 or S1? So we never read it.
That's one.
S1 is just the opioids.
Well, that's what I asked was S1. Yeah, I asked if
We can do a
S1 was.
consent order for 1 and 2.
Oh.
That'll be the best thing.
Well, we would need a new motion.
Or we could just do it one by one.
Well, we need a new motion because we were then discussing something
Uh-huh.
that wasn't.
So just do a motion.
Vice President Bowens, there is an active motion on the floor. And again, we were under the impression that staff report S1 included everything down to staff policy 3120. We were recently informed that it's only for 5330. So at this time, I'm asking that what would be your recommendation? Because we had discussion about something that was not the staff. I got it. I know what I can do. Vice President Bowens,
Yes, Treasurer Creighton.
I would like to revise my previous motion and add S2.
Okay, so she would like to revise her previous motion and add S2
As a consent.
as a consent.
Second.
I don't have to open that up. Okay, Secretary Triplett, can you call for the vote, please?
It was
It was moved
made.
and it was moved by Treasurer Creighton and supported by
Gavin.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you.
So we ready for the vote?
Yes,
And that also includes the change to S2, right? The amendment to S2,
Yeah, the change to S2.
to include the most recent 3130 policy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we ready?
Yes.
Vice President Bowen,
yes,
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
No.
What is,
No,
no,
yes, yes.
what is? it?
Yes.
Okay, and Trustee Gavin, yes, she said yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
And
Motion carried.
the motion has carried.
Yeah.
And next superintendent,
The partnership update, agreement update, we have an upcoming survey called EPIC that the Office of Partnership District sent out. Our staff will be receiving the link this week, and if they have not received it, Mr. Corson will be sending out an updated link on tomorrow. So this EPIC survey is just determining the efficacy of the partnership agreement as we stand right now. It's just getting feedback from our staff. So it'll bleed over into the strategic plan update. When we get the information back from the EPIC survey from our staff, we can then revise and or update our strategic plan, how we move forward under the partnership agreement.
Vice President Bowens,
yes. Sorry,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
In a recent email, we were told that something was going to violate the partnership agreement, and I feel like at this time, this might be a good idea for us to get some more clarification on that.
Yes. Dr. Butts, would you proceed?
I think I know what you're talking about in the email that I sent in reference to policy 3130 about supporting the superintendent. But you made that clear when your comments earlier. If that's what you're talking about.
So does the Ben Harbor Area School policy violate the partnership agreement Is that what I wasn't really sure. And as the board, I know we conduct business in open session, so I didn't want to actually have a lot of discourse about that. But during the update, I was hoping to be able to get some information about the potential violation of the partnership agreement by governance, oversight, and accountability.
So what I'll do is, what I can do for follow-up, I can make sure I reach out to the Office of Partnership Districts, let them take a look at the newly voted upon policies and report back to the board.
Vice President
Secretary
Bowles.
Triplett, please.
Yes, first of all, the partnership agreement does not run Ben Harbor area school. Okay, so let's be clear. And so I think that this Board of Education is astute enough to do the necessary work for what's good for Ben Harbor area school. So we are not in a state takeover. That is perfectly clear. So we need to, and we should operate in that manner. So if the partnership agreement does not come in and say, this is it, boom, boom, boom. We are in a partnership. And that's what it is. And we have to come out of that almost like a slave mentality, because we've been abused for so long, just like an abused lady or someone who has been abused. And when they come out of it, they still operate in that fear and strength. We are the Board of Education for Ben Harbor Area Schools, and I don't think any of our decisions that we make here at this table would jeopardize the work of the partnership agreement.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, Dr. Butts. I believe you indicated that you're gonna give us an update on the peer mediation. Is that gonna be in this section or the other section?
I can give it now.
Okay, thank you.
We did meet with Mr. Burton last week after the work session, and he is actively now getting the training material together to start the peer mediation going. He is reaching out to the group that he mentioned before. I can't recall the name at the moment, but he is actively working on that. He does have the list of students that were interested. So he's getting together his amounts that is needed. He didn't know, he was unsure about where the funding would come from, and I made him aware that we do have a student activity fund for those funds to come out of, so he's actively working towards it now.
Thank you so much. And I had one more question. The other question was, under the partnership agreement, and of course, I'm in agreement with Secretary Triplett on the issue of them not owning us. I do remember a section in there, though, that spoke to us being required to have a certain number of board trainings or something like that. And I'm wondering, we just voted on our calendar here, but I am wondering, if those trainings are in a calendar for us, or, how are we on that part of our requirement?
President Robinson was actually working on solidifying some dates for the board training. She's mentioned it at several of the previous meetings, I know. And I know she was working towards making sure everyone's schedule lined up to start those trainings.
Thank you.
Also included in those trainings should be the trainings that we use at the Michigan Association of School Boards to make sure that our board is getting the necessary training and support. So collectively, we need to find out if they're talking about specifically collectively, or if we have, when we talk about those of us that go to our various trainings and workshops, is that inclusive as well? Because this board has been extensively trained, especially in that particular area. So that's something that we need clarification. I also know when we talk about the partnership agreement, there are some things that I think that we need to be a little bit more involved in and more hands-on. We need to work alongside of our superintendent, because there's an 18-month window for sure. And we need to be clear on what it is that we are, where we are, the progress in our 18 months. And also because just because this doesn't happen, doesn't mean that this district is at. You know, this district is closed or what have you, but we need to be involved or at least given information to this Board of Education as to where it is, not just here at this meeting saying this is what we've done. We need to have representation. We need to be at the table as well to ensure that we are inspecting what we expect. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent,
So you're going to business finance.
Business and Finance, I'm sorry, it's just, Molly?
Good morning, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I know there were a number of conversations following the work session last week. So that's kind of where I would like to begin our conversation. There were two questions specifically that I was asked to follow up on. I'm gonna take the one that I think will take less time first. There was a question, the questions had generated from the vendor payment reports. There was a question specifically around AT&T. The bill that was in question was a $3,000 bill that was for our landlines for a period of 4 months, where the amount of that bill is in line with best practices. There was a period where the billing was behind. So when we issued one payment, the bill wasn't reflective of how many months that actually encompassed. We have been working very intensely with the Chief of Student Services and the IT team, looking at all of our bills to try to become leaner and make sure that we are getting the best rates that we deserve as a district. We also are aware that we are always improving our vendor relationships. So we are looking to increase our efficiencies in our bill payments so that we won't have this type of lag before again. The second item that was in question was in reference to a
Can you speak into the mic?
The mic went out.
Yeah,
hold on. Oh, can everyone hear me now?
yes.
All right, thank you. The second item was in reference to a vendor payment to a previous employee. This was an item that to sustain and moving forward with some of our Ames web testing, there was a decision to move forward on a contractor status. The number of hours was designated in that contract, which was materially breached and went over. As soon as we received documentation of that, myself and Dr. Butts supported and moved forward with the necessary action to cancel that contract. So where I understand and I hear you when we're asking questions, I do want to stress how quickly and how promptly we move forward to cancel that contract to be able to move forward from a school perspective. Is there any other? I would give the floor back to Vice President Bowens
Treasurer
before I
Creighton.
take the vote.
Oh, you want me to go? It was your, you noticed it. However, thank you so much for the explanation, Molly. Do we know the policy for approving purchases and contracts? What's the policy? What policy did you guys use to go into contract with this person?
It was under the purchasing amount,
Okay, what's the purchasing amount?
29,007 something.
Okay, and what was the length of the contract that was given?
I will follow up.
That contract was supposed to have been for a year. So when we
Okay.
first did the contract, it was supposed to support teaching and learning
Mhm.
on a day-to-day basis and not
Up to how many hours a week?
up to it was up to 10 hours a week,
Correct, so 10 hours a week. Did it say 20 or 10?
10.
Positive? Okay, so let's do this. 10 times 300. And then how many weeks? Up here to June, so February, March, no, I'm sorry, January, February, March, April. So 6 months is how many weeks
It's 4
approximately?
weeks, 6 and 4 is
24.
24.
24. Okay, so we're gonna do 3,000 times 24. So that's $72,000. So it wasn't under the threshold, correct? Or was it?
For purchase service.
If you're asking me if
Mhm.
74,000 is greater than 29, you are correct.
Okay.
I am not in a position here to,
I agree, and this is not court, it was just a yes or no, that's fine, thank you. Okay, so, again, when we're asking these questions, I do feel like it was a surprise at the table. I was not aware. And so, when we talk about accountability, governance oversight and accountability, as we're building trust on the team, I think it's just important to be transparent. In our board, committee meeting for HR, you can turn that off, on November the 29th. This was a discussion on November 29th. Vice President Bowens pointed this out. And we had some discussion with our superintendent and also HR. And when we received the verifications last week, this contract was signed November 17th. So we've had a meeting in December, January, and these things were not brought up, and we were unaware until Vice President Bowens at our February meeting pointed this out. And so, I'm grateful that you guys are taking accountability, but I think it's important that we are also transparent in that accountability, so that we can move forward in trust. It's really disappointing, that we have two senior positions that have signed this contract and approved the purchase, exceeding the amount. If you look at the policy further, it also talks about purchase services over $1,000 potentially being bidded out. And so it's just really disappointing, and I'm not even sure what's going on, because we also made it clear that this person, we didn't approve this person's resignation until January. And so for this person to be working at $300 an hour prior to that is very disappointing, to say the least.
Vice President Bowens.
Secretary, thank you, trustee Craig, Treasurer Creighton.
And I think it is very, very critical for us as board members to make sure, because this has happened. I think people are struggling with with accountability. It's nothing personal. And so I think there's an ethical imperative that must take place, because we can't pick and choose when we're going to do what it is that we do. And so again, I just wanted to be understood that none of this has absolutely anything to do with you and everything to do with who we have hired in these positions, to make sure that we are following policy, that everything that comes before this board must be in alignment with policy. And so we can't just sit here and blanketly accept just because people say, and had this not been caught by Vice President Bowens, we wouldn't have ever known. So please, please, please understand that we are going to do our job for the citizens of this community. All of us. We may oftentimes present as being discombobulated, but having a conversation with one of our trustees this morning, we have a very astute Board of Education. We have a qualified Board of Education. And so it's not that anybody is trying to do anything, but what we will do, we will do our role as it relates to governance, oversight, and accountability. And I definitely want more information on this and how we will move forward. Because like you said, for me, this feels uncomfortable. It feels very uncomfortable. So I'm grateful, and I encourage the board, when we get these items, that first of all, we highlight those reports look big, and we go through and we flip and we say yes. And we've said yes, and millions of dollars have walked up out of here. We need to highlight, we need to look at these items and make sure that these items are in compliance, and anything that's above the threshold that's supposed to come before this board, It needs to be flagged and it needs to be explained. And that's it. And it's not personal. I don't care who's sitting in the seat. That's the responsibility. Okay, so if you take it personal, that's on you. But we're getting ready to do the work of Benton Harbor Area School Board of Education. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Is there anyone else before I, trustee Gavin?
Thank you. I just want to say that, you know, it concerns me when, y'all forgive me, because I just gotta say it raw. I don't really have a filter today. It concerns me when we talk out of both sides of our neck. You know, how is it that on one hand, we moving people around and doing things to get rid of people in the name of we don't have enough money? And a lot of those people are in our community. And then we find all of this money for folks, and we're able to push that dollar amount through. I have a problem with that. And I have another problem with creating a culture in which staff can't talk to the board. Because this is how we find out what's going on, when we have an open communication between our community members, between the staff, and between the board. And so there has to be a different climate in that we are respecting all staff and we are looking at those dollars in a way that treat it like it's your money. Treat it like it's your money. I just don't understand how that dollar amount can go out like that. And we can also say in another breath that we have to make changes because we don't have enough money. So that's a concern, a serious concern that I have. And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm thinking about the people who are moved around in the name of saving money, but other people are getting paid astronomical dollars to do something that somebody could do at a reasonable rate. Somebody from this community could have done at a reasonable rate.
You know, okay, thank you so much, trustee Gavin. I do have a question that just stuck to me. The Dell Marketing on page 5 for a robotic gaming computer. Are we still using esports? Is that for the high school? What? Did we just get computers like not even a year? I know you got to update them constantly, but. Go ahead, sorry.
So Chief Vincent is going to respond to the second part of your question, but the first part of your question was,
I hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Chief Vincent is going to respond to the second part of your question. The first part of your question was about esports. Esports is a club. It's currently in its enrollment period right now, and their first game should be next week. But the device in question is not for esports.
Okay, I just seen the robotics. So is that for the high school students or?
I'm opening up the invoice right now.
Okay, and while you're also doing that, I've noticed that we're still paying Hungerford Nichols. What's the status? Why are we still paying? I'm sorry, address it to the superintendent. Why are we still paying Hungerford? I think I've seen 14. Yeah, I seen 14,000 on page 6. Or is that a back payment?
Superintendent Bunce, would you like me to address
Yes,
this one?
please.
The Hungerford Nichols contract has always had the end date with the support from Treasury of 6/30/24. We have, as I've provided at previous meetings, you can see our use has gone down dramatically. This has been getting us through. We are moving forward. We are putting practices in place. They have helped out in a variety of tasks and items, some finance specific, some helping out with the vacancies in HR and consistencies in getting processes written. These are all things that we've identified as a need from our partners.
Okay, so are we constantly, each month, we'll be paying them $14,000?
I would have to go back and pull items. The contract is not a flat fee. It's not like a
Okay.
retainer base, so it's based off of hours used.
Thank you. Dr. Butts, if it's possible, can we get that contract emailed to the full board, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I know you were opening that robotics computer thing up for me.
Yeah.
And while she's doing that,
Vice President Bowens, would you like that update at the table, or is that something she can get back to you?
well, she can email it to the board, please, or forward it to the superintendent and the superintendent to the board.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So monthly finance reports, do I need to read? them?
Teaching.
Okay.
Oh, teaching and learning, well, we gotta vote.
Am I able to
Vote
do
on-
that
Oh, I'm sorry.
report?
Yeah. Oh, we have trustee Rocket that has not said anything either. Sorry.
It's not a motion on the floor.
I'd also like to apologize to the board for this reason. We are on the finance committee. And we failed to even catch this, so thank God you did. So so we'll have to, you guys now, because I'm no longer on that committee. But we didn't even see this. But how can we, my thing is, it happened. How can we correct it? Is there a possibility that a repayment could possibly be made to the district? Or it's pretty settled?
It was settled, so what we've set up, I've asked Liz to sign Ms. Benson and I up for vendor contracts through MSBO to make sure we know how to look at the language and set standards for our districts as we move forward, making sure that we stay below the procurement threshold and making sure that we understand the language and we make sure we bring things to the board prior to signing off as we did on this one.
Thank you.
I do want to say on that, seeing that was a shocking, and I am disappointed in it. And seeing that has me going through and looking, and I think we need to make sure we are dotting our i's and t's and paying attention, because it is very alarming. It's very interesting to see. And I am disappointed in that. Molly, do you, can we have a motion? Sorry, is this, are we voting on this? Staff report F1. Do you want to read that, please, Molly, or go ahead and present? Sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
Staff report S1, the reason for board consideration is a set of financial reports are provided to the Board of Education each month. The facts and analysis is this evening is recommended that the December 1st to December 31st, 2023 payments be approved for all the district's funds. The policy reference is 6470, payment of claims. The strategic plan goal reference is facilities and operations. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, implement, and evaluate a fiscally responsible plan that will ensure physical and psychological safety. The recommended action that the Board of Education approve the December 1st through December 31st, 2023 payments for the following funds. The general fund is $792,991.37. The food service fund is $171,678.44. The student activity fund is $3,020.71 for a total of $967,690.52.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to approve staff report F1?
I make a motion to approve staff report F1.
It's been a motion on the floor by trustee Raquette. Is there a second?
Support.
And it's been supported by trustee Secretary Triplet.
Trust
Secretary Triplett,
Can you please call for the vote, Secretary?
we didn't have
Is
discussion.
there any discussion?
Absolutely. Just wanted to, clarify, I think this is probably the first time I've not made the motion or supported this. This is not sitting well with me. And tonight, we didn't receive apologies, we received excuses. And so it's really disappointing, to know that two of our top, executives is still not taking full responsibility. If you turn the page to the next staff report, it's a vendor contract for Stepping Stones Group. And this is also something that our superintendent and our chief of curriculum and also our chief our CFO, this is something that I'm gonna assume that they've negotiated multiple times. And so I think this is a great example of them knowing that this is the expectation of the board. To even see a reference that such positions are charging $70 to $72, and to know that previous people were paid about $52 an hour. And for them to get paid $300 an hour, I cannot support this motion. And so I just wanted that to be on the record, that I'm not comfortable supporting this motion for the reasons that I stated.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Is there anyone else?
I do have a question.
Trustee Gavin?
Just clarity, and it may be a simple answer. I noticed that there's nothing taken out for a sinking fund. And I know that we're doing something with the boilers. So is there a reason why we're not taking anything out in that area? Is it going somewhere else? Are we paying for that work somewhere else?
Hello. So this report's on a cash basis, so it's based off of when we're spending the money and when we're writing the checks. The boiler project right now, it's being co-funded with two different funding sources. Part of it is the ESSER 3 funding source and part of it is sinking funds. The ESSER 3 funding source is more time bound, and that we would want to be spending that first, and then we would go look at our sinking funds to preserve those funds for our larger master facilities plan project.
Thank you.
Vice President Bowens.
You have the floor, Secretary Triplet.
I too struggle with supporting it. But I know that we have to take care of our business. And, you know, it saddens me. You know, when you look at situations and circumstances, whereas, you know, it's stated people from Benton Harbor are working in this district through third-party vendors, no insurance, nothing. When you look at the majority of the people that live in this community that work for this district. And again, for me, it's just, it's very tough for me. And I just think, you know, again, this Board of Education has been very kind, has afforded people an opportunity to be in positions on a first-time basis that probably wouldn't be able to just jump up into these same positions in a lot of other spaces and places. And we expect excellence. And it's just, it doesn't set well with me. And so I know that we have to take care of the business, but I am going to say to the Board of Education, it's time for us to do our part on behalf of the people who voted for us to be in these positions. This is no campaign speech or nothing at all. This is just serious business. And somebody told me years ago when I got on the Board of Education, as a matter of fact, one of the president of the Flint Board, of the past president of the Flint Board of Education, and they've gone through so much because a lot of times people want to make a person look like they're a bad person when they call things out and even have a look of how dare you, in their arrogance and what have you. But she said, you're on this Board of Education, and what you better do and what you need to do and what this board need to do, you better watch the money. If you don't do anything else as members of this Board of Education, you better watch the money. So again, I am going to vote to accept this. But moving forward, we're gonna have to do our job. Because this is not something that we take lightly, and I'm quite sure in our committee meetings, we'll be able to discuss further any concerns that we have without putting it out in the public. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, and it's been a motion on the floor.
We ready for the
So
roll?
can we call for the vote, please, Secretary Triplett?
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
No.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried. We're ready.
Thank you. Let's go to the next item on the agenda, teaching and learning, Dr. Butts.
Thank you. In the absence of Chief Waddell, for staff report T1 that was discussed during the work session. Reason for board consideration, the district is interested in renewing the contract with Stepping Stones for Special Education Services. Facts and analysis, this amendment expands services to career and alternative pathways to education, CAPE, to provide special education supports to special education students learning virtually. The district's contract with the Stepping Stones Group for Special Education Support Service will expire on 6/30/2024. Currently, the staff hire will support 7 special education students for up to 32 hours per week at $70 an hour. Stepping Stone services during the 2023-2024 school year will cost approximately $33,600. Policy reference 6320 purchasing, strategic plan reference academics. Benton Harbor area schools will increase student achievement as measured on local, state, and national assessments. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area School Boards of Education votes to approve as presented the Special Education Support Services Agreement with the Stepping Stones Group for the 2023-2024 school year that will expire June 30, 2024.
Vice President Bowens,
Yes, Treasurer Creighton.
make a motion to approve staff report T1.
It's been a motion on the floor by Treasurer Creighton to approve staff report T1. Is there a second?
Second.
And it's been second by Trustee Rocket. Is there any discussion or comments? There being none, sorry, Trustee Gavin.
I'll make it real brief. I wasn't physically here, but I watched the meeting from online in Tennessee. And I believe that's when Chief Waddell said that this was an important contract and it gave us an opportunity to get the services that our special education students needed. And so I'm in support of this. And I would also, I'm happy to be on that special education committee again. And hopefully we can kind of get some reporting practices in place just to make sure that they are getting what they need. I don't know, people that are getting contracts of this nature, it seems like they should be required to submit a report of what they have accomplished when they are asking for the contract to be renewed. So that's my statement. in business, it's normal to do reports on what you've accomplished. And maybe it would be helpful for us to require those things as well.
Thank you, trustee Gavin. Would you like to follow? No. Okay, being none, any additional comments? Being none, can we call for the votes? Secretary Triplett.
Trying to find my clown nose. Oh, okay, I got it. Vice President Bowen,
I'm a zebra right now. Yes, yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, so, and next we're down to student support services, Mr. Paul Corson. Or is it back to them?
Good evening, trustees.
Good evening.
So as we begin tonight, I would like to first take our attention to the launching of the new Benton Harbor Area Schools website. If none of you have been, I will pause for claps. It is a wonderful website.
Oh, excellent.
If you haven't had a chance to visit it, please do so. We believe that the navigation has been greatly improved. The communication should be easier to find, as well as something that I'm really excited is a new feature that we've added is the chat bot that is in the lower left-hand corner of the screen.
Oh, I didn't see that. Can we pull it back up?
Mhm.
I know that we're close on time, but if we can get
Yeah.
like maybe a 30-second.
So the chat is AI enabled, and so it should help, especially when we're talking about when there was the comment about English language learners as well as other groups coming in trying to find information on the site. The chat on the bottom left-hand corner should be able to give them information.
Translation.
It'll
Wow.
translate everything and help them find things. So it's a very cool new feature that we've been able to incorporate. Another thing that Miss Liz, if you're able to scroll to the bottom of the site. Oh, yeah. Yep, she's switched the language of the site. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, that's fine. All the way to the bottom, in the bottom right-hand corner, what you will also find, and this is something particularly that I would like to point out to the trustees, is those two icons are for the App Store. One is for the Android App Store and one is for the Apple App Store. So you can install this onto your phone. Notifications will come directly, just like another application that you would have already loaded. And so if anyone has any questions about that or how to utilize it, we are available to give instructions, but it should be just as simple as going to the App Store and typing in Benton Harbor Area Schools.
So I have a question. So, I'm ambitious. I'm a millennial. So with that, like, so I know that you guys do robocalls, like with the app, can you send out push notifications?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
if you already have the app, I don't know if any of you do, but you'll notice that several communications have already gone out through the push notification.
Okay.
Some of them are about surveys that have come out. Some of them are specific to the individual schools. You can also see that some of our communication about Count Day, which is tomorrow, has been shared over the app as well. So the app allows you to customize your communication preferences based on the school that you would like to be informed by. So you can select all or none or anywhere in between. And the chatbot is also incorporated into the app as well. So you should be able to access all of the normal information from the app as well.
Okay.
I see many of our board members downloading it right now. In the sake of time, I'd like to continue to move forward if that is okay.
Yes.
I love this. This is great. I love this. You're
Perfect,
welcome.
perfect. Well, moving on, in our report to facilities, we are on track with our boiler project. The first pre-bid meeting for the construction managers happened last week on Tuesday. We had a number of people show up for the pre-bid meeting, and the next item of business that we will need the board approval with, and we will be talking to facilities about, the facilities committee about, is going to be the approval of the RFP that is going to be received by the district for the actual construction and work to be done to install the boilers. We are working to finalize the contract and negotiations for the master's facilities plan that was approved by the board. And so we are working through, right now, it's a 180-page contract. So we are working through and making sure that we have that tightened up so that we can move forward. The boiler system and repair work was done over the last series of winter storms. There was an excessive amount of work that was done over at the middle school, and we were able to make repairs to that system, as well as bring additional rooftop units online that previously were not functioning. So that should make the entire environment more comfortable moving forward. Planning is still underway for summer projects, including the track and the gymnasium repairs. Speaking of the gymnasium and going into athletics, the girls basketball are working hard to continue to fight this season. They are currently 2-10 with some tough teams on their schedule. And so you will see their upcoming games. Additionally, the boys basketball team is 18-0 right now. And the Tigers are, fighting on all cylinders right now. So they have a game this evening at Lakeshore. And then there's another game on the 16th against Brandywine. Wrestling, the wrestlers took the mats against Brandywine on February 3rd. And many of our wrestlers did a very good showing at that meet. So I want to congratulate those teams. Additional upcoming dates for athletic events you can see in attached below. I may have reached my my speaking limit.
You too?
Coming up for family engagement, I did want to just take this moment. I don't know if we've been able to take this moment before, but I did want to send our congratulations to Mr. Benton Harbor, Jaden Meeks, and Miss Benton Harbor, Amari Collins. I also wanted to take a moment to congratulate Nigel Washington, who has been awarded the McDonald's of Greater Indiana and Southwest Michigan Black History Makers of Tomorrow Scholarship. You will see some key upcoming family engagement events listed for each of the buildings. And we encourage board members to come to as many as they are able. Important dates for the district are that tomorrow is our spring collections day. Tomorrow is our spring count day. We've sent out a number of communications to our families, just encouraging attendance and making sure that everybody is aware that their attendance matters and their attendance counts. The State of the District address is scheduled for February 21st, and further invitations are going to be going out tomorrow. And then as previously communicated, the Home Depot Community Partnership Volunteer Opportunity is on February 24th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Further details are to be shared on our Facebook page, and questions can be directed to Robin Kutch.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And Vice President Bowens, if I may add one more thing, I would like to take this quick moment to thank Mr. Dash and Chantel Booth for working on that website so diligently. They worked tirelessly for about a month trying to get it together, so I just want to make sure that they're given their props as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to add a nice picture, but.
We'll make sure we get it up there.
Okay, thank you. I think it's on there, right? We just need to update it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Next on the agenda is.
So we don't get to say.
You got
Oh,
to-
sorry. Trustee Gavin.
Thank you. And I'll be real brief. I just.
Hey, Trustee Gavin, do me a favor. Can you talk in the mic? We can't hear you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Corson. Thank you, everybody. I had a question. I'm wondering if there are certain things that can be staples in terms of updates, like the driver's education program. Are there any updates on that program?
Which one?
Driver's education.
Would that be considered? I don't know what that would fall under because it's a facilities thing. I know we need cars. I know we need.
It
know,
will fall on the student services and finance.
Okay.
So what we are looking at, I know it was written into the original ESER 3 prior to my administration. So we are looking at how that was written in and how we can go ahead and get it started. More than likely, so I don't want to speak too soon because I haven't brought it to committee, but so I won't speak too soon, but we're looking into it and I'll give more updates in committee meetings prior to having it as a prize at the table.
Thank you. Will it be at the next committee meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good deal.
Uh,
Thank you.
One thing I will say, Dr. Butts, the Secretary of State did make an announcement about driver's education. In public schools, she's advocating for finances because schools got rid of it because it was too expensive. I think as a district, we would be wise to see what the Secretary of State is proposing. Then, before we start spending money that we don't have to. And if the state is gonna supplement it, if we could get a update on that, sorry.
Vice President Bowens. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Secretary Triplett and then Treasurer Creighton.
I think that we should continue to move forward
Mhm.
what it is that we're doing. It's good to see that they're coming up with this thought after the fact. This is something that we have been working on. This is something that our children need. And so I don't think that we need to wait or pause. I think we need to move forward. Our kids are going to proms. We had driver's license at 15, at 16 years old. We had a portable simulator in the back of this school, and we learned how to drive here at Ben Harbor High School. And so our children will not be harassed when it's prom time. They will have their licenses. They will have the support, and it's something that will be a drawing piece for Benton Harbor area schools. So that's just my thoughts on that. So we need to continue moving forward, and it's so good that the Attorney General thought about it after the fact.
Secretary of State,
Secretary
correction.
of State, after we thought about it.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer?
Thank you so much. I do want to honor time, it's 8:02. However, I just want to mention, I think it's a great idea to come up with a proposal for this so that we can have it all spelled out. We can have the what, when, where, how spelled out. We know that, creating such an extensive program is really not something that we can do tomorrow. So I would like to propose just an idea for thought. In the planning of this, we've contracted services out for SEL, we've contracted services out for Stepping Stones. We know that the foundation has over $1 million in their budget for Benton Harbor area schools. Is this something that we could potentially make a proposal, ask for the partnership agreement to possibly do a match with the foundation? I mean, I think it's time for us to be creative and use the resources that we have available. The golf outing is coming up again, and we've still not used money that we have allocated for Benton Harbor area schools. And so if this is something that we feel strong about, I mean, we don't have that many seniors or people that will be qualified or eligible to do this. And so I think we should name a number, create a proposal, and then phase it out, see how much it'll cost, and see if we can get the support with some of the money that we currently have, and just potentially partner with one of the driver education programs that already have the curriculum, already have approved teachers, and also vehicles. And so I think it would be great to just go into a partnership until we have the bandwidth and capacity to bring it in-house. I think we'll be setting ourselves up for failure to think that that's something that we can do by the end of the year. But I definitely think with a few meetings and intentional planning, we can look at some of the other schools, bring it in, and potentially provide scholarships or vouchers for our students here through those funds that are available.
Superintendent Butts?
Thank you, Vice President Bowens, and thank you, Treasurer Creighton. So, again, I don't want to bring any surprise at the table, but we have looked into that already. We've talked to one person that would be one company, excuse me. Of course, if we got to check out the procurement, make sure we're going on our threshold. However, I've talked to one company that is willing to partner with us to use our facilities, train our staff. And in return, we partner together. So once they leave out, our staff will be trained. So that's something that I'll be bringing to committee for further discussion. But we are exploring it very heavily. So it's not on the back burner. We are trying to make sure we push all of the initiatives as our bandwidth can withhold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President, Vice President. You might want to check, I believe it was a couple of years back, the JAG program, they sponsored kids that went through their program, a few of them in a driver's ed program. I think they gave funding for it, for kids to get their license. I know someone that did that program at the high school and it was funded. I'm almost sure about the JAG program. So yeah, you can check into that also and see if, but I absolutely agree with Treasurer Creighton. They would have the insurance and the know-how to get our kids started in the program and to move on from there.
I just like something done for our kids for once.
Thank you. So let's go to old business, board retreat, training opportunities. I know we discussed that we were gonna do our board retreat in March. Madam President will be getting back to us with that.
I think it's in the email, isn't it?
I can't pull up my email. I got a new phone, so sorry.
Okay, Vice President Bowens?
Yes, Madam Treasurer.
It said this March, I'm still exploring alternatives. We are hoping for a location. Okay, so she didn't actually give a date. She did give a date for some other things, so I apologize.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I will leave that for Madam President to get back with us with that update. On the superintendent evaluation update, we did discuss at the last work session.
It'll be February 22nd at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Policy discussion regarding right of assignment and transfer, we already discussed that.
Mhm.
Thank you. And Liz, can you move the agenda down, please? Is there
Open
any-
comment.
Right, any new business? Any board members have any new business items?
I do have a,
Go ahead, Madam Treasurer, I mean trustee, sorry.
I believe that when the debt relief was passed, there may have been some stipulations for the board. And I just want to make sure that that doesn't fall under the radar. If there are any type of trainings or outputs that we need to provide to the state with that, with that gift, if you will. How are we making sure that we are on the up and up with that funding? Does that question make sense?
Yes, Dr. Butts, can you?
Yes, sir. And thank you, Treasurer. Trustee
Sir.
Gavin. Sorry about that. We did have a meeting with Treasury. And those are, there was an affidavit we have to sign and a few other articles that we have to turn into them. Thankfully, the articles that they're asking for were almost identical to what was in the partnership agreement, and that has already been sent to them. So we are actively working to get all of our documents in, so that Treasury has assured us that by June 1st or 30th, June 30th, that everything will be in order, and the debt will be, all the paperwork for the debt forgiveness will be complete.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else with any news business? B-
I have something quick, I'm sorry. Just if trustees are really serious about driver's ed and potentially, having it this year, if that's even something that, is possible, or for the summer, if a committee or something can be established within the district, to actually be actively working on that, so that we can, actually bring it in our committees, for the upcoming month, to at least start exploring and talking about it in the committees. So not necessarily something that needs to be on the agenda, but I think that's something that's into committee.
Okay, and that's Madam President's job to create that committee or
Mm.
ad hoc. So that,
Not an ad hoc committee, but I'm saying if the superintendent would like to, actually move on that, if that's something that he want to move on, maybe not the contract, but just the discussion, I think the committee would be appropriate to do that.
okay, thank you. Next is open public comment, meaning that there is no public members in the public. We have superintendent announcements and comments.
Thank you, Vice President. Last month, Nurse Amy had a company, we partnered with the Rotary. They came in and did eye examinations. So with our students, they did it throughout the district. Our students were able to get free eye exams. And also they were able to get, for the ones that that were observed to have some eye irregularities with their sight, were given the opportunity to visit a doctor's office for free and a free pair of glasses. Upcoming, she has a dental clinic coming out to offer the same type of services. Again, I wanted to thank the IT department for their commitment and dedication in getting up the website. And also to the board, extend an apology for the oversight and overlook of the vendor contract, and assuring you that myself and my cabinet will be taking the appropriate classes to make sure that we are continuously transparent and fiscally responsible moving forward with district funds. And also, thank you, board, for your continued support.
Thank you. Now we will be at board member comments, and we will start off with trustee Raquette.
I'll go after. If you please.
It's the prerogative of the chair to call.
Put my comments together. Well, we are getting out. What time is it?
Quicker.
Yeah, 8:15, great. Yes, I'd like to thank our board for a pretty good meeting today. We do have our ups and downs or whatever. But I also would like to say that I'm still sticking with the fact that I believe that we hired a superintendent who is very capable. And I believe that the judgment that he uses is sound. And my other thing is that my goal is that the students, if I were had to be moved, my first concern was how could I benefit my new environment for the students that I have to work for. I want our students to have the best. And with the moves that superintendents make, and I'm not even naming him, superintendents make, I believe they have that in their heart and in their mind, that they're looking out for the students and filling in voids where students need credit and accreditation and need certified teachers. And, and those moves have to be made. They're not pleasant at all sometimes, but it is my hope that whenever we have to move, and this is maybe what our district needs to strive for, when anybody has to move to a new position, that the position that they're going to, that the building is still conducive to learning And it's still a building that nobody would mind working in. All of our buildings have to be in such a atmosphere that wherever you go, you can be successful and students can get what they need, and a place where you don't mind working. Because now what I'm seeing is that people don't want to go to certain places because they don't want to work there. And so that bothers me. To me, that's more of the total picture. But if we can get our buildings to a place where wherever you go, it's okay to work. That's my goal.
Thank you. Trustee Gavin?
Thank you. I'd like to touch on as many things as I can in a short period of time. I would say this, it takes time to master anything. It takes time to get acclimated to your role and to master that role. And anytime you move a person out of that role into something new, when they once were a master, now they're starting over as a baby. And it's very important to keep that in mind. And timing is everything. These moves in the middle of the school year distracts the students, it distracts the staff, it distracts our culture. And if they can distract us, they can destroy us. And I've watched what's happened to Benton Harbor area schools for multiple decades. And the movements, the closures of schools, those types of things. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm saying that behavior has cost us. None of our schools were shut down because they were empty. There were certain moves that caused those schools to be shut down, and then people left. And so we got to be very aware of that. And this brings me to what the minister said when he said that we have a huge Spanish-speaking population and we need to provide services for them. We used to have an international academy in which the teachers spoke Spanish and our students learned both Spanish and English, not just a Spanish class, but all of their classes, they were learning dual language. And with a vote, that was gone. And so it's important for us to have that oversight and to make sure that we have those services for our community. And so, you know, it is important for us to have the oversight over that. And speaking of oversight, I'll go back to Munitrex. We've been talking about Munitrex. I think it's important again to bring that up and to find out, is there a training in which Munitrex can come in and show us how to use the system so that anybody in the community can drill down to the dollar. If you spend $30 on cheerleading or cheerleading skirt, we all know. And so, like, you know, that knowledge is power for our community. And I think that it's a good training, not just for the board, but for the community as well. And, you know, I would just say that I'm really pleased with the updates. I remember a time when the board website, there was no evidence of human life on that website, and it was just terrible. And so I'm really glad to see those updates, really excited about driver's education, the possibility of that, hoping that our peer mediation will get up and running because we want to see our students being the solution. You know, can we get that going as soon as possible? If our students can help each other stop fighting, help each other mediate, if they can become the solution, then that will spill over in a positive way in the community. And that's what I would like to see happen. And before I go, it hurt me to see a parent get up there and say that nobody responded to her in a situation that's serious. I know we're not supposed to say anything, but if something that serious happens, to me, you know, if the superintendent could send her over to, you know, his assistant, and she get an appointment on the spot so that she knows that her issue would be addressed. And I thank you all. Thank you, everybody, for listening on the Zoom. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Treasurer Creighton?
Thank you. Good evening again. Just want to share. I'm in a different space, in a different place. This is real for me. Like, this is not something I take lightly. I am raising 2 Black children in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And so this is serious for me. I'm 41, and you know, it's just different to imagine, we've had shootings over the last, few days, and they were children. And so I think about that, one, it within like a couple miles of my home where I'm raising those two children. And so when I think about that and I think about governance, oversight and accountability, for many years of my life, I have given myself to this community and put aside whatever I wanted to do what's best for the community. And so when I think about governance, oversight, and accountability, I'm not perfect. But one thing I am is accountable. And so I was up from 3 a.m. just studying the policy and really trying to allow it to tell a story. And so yesterday my devotion was, and I'm doing this new thing where I'm sharing, I got this devotion that was hanging on my door. I've been sending people devotions and sending copies and everything. And so now someone bought me one and I was just so happy. This is the second one I've received and it's different. But yesterday the topic said, He is faithful. And then today, I couldn't sleep last night and I was reading these policies and then when I woke up and I read this, it said his bravery becomes my own. So when I think about those things and I think about the season that I'm in my life, I don't mind standing for what I believe in, even if I have to stand alone. And so with that being said, I hope you all have a blessed night. I pray for this community and this entire cabinet and board of education.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett.
I really don't have a lot to say tonight. In all sincerity, I don't. This is a very serious matter. Where I am right now in my life, one thing that I know for sure that I'm a tiger, and I always will be. I was blessed to come up in an era where people were real, and they taught us how to fight. I'm so disappointed right now, not just as it relates to Benton Harbor area schools. You know, people say that they are truly for children. You know, it comes children first, kids first. And the hypocrisy and just look straight ahead as our children blood is being shed all over this community. It's a sad day for me. The disrespect, for this community, and to Miss Chambers was a teacher here, and she said, suffer, say oftentimes she would say, suffer in silence. And I really didn't understand what that meant. So with that, I'll close my mouth. I'll be still. Know that the cotton is out of my ears and I hear you. And don't ever forget that in the circus, a real circus, there are tigers.
Say that again.
In that circus. And the circus is in town. But the tigers are at this table. And we're roaring. And that's to the, what they call the math, the who leads the circus. The ringmaster. You opened the cage tonight. And they don't normally let the tigers out of the cage. Thank you.
Lead a door, oh.
Well, yesterday, one of our students got injured getting off the school bus, got shot. My thoughts and prayers go with to his family and to
Yes.
our students that have to witness that and experience that. The other thing that I want to say is, great job, Paul. I enjoyed the website. I enjoy what's going on and thank you. I wish
And
we could get
Chantel.
a newsletter going out. Back in the day, it used to be an honor to get the newsletter and see your name on honor roll so you could brag to your brothers and sisters. In a zoo, you have management. You can't get a zoo without management. I do a lot of contracts and I have to contract the contracting company. So I want us to be mindful. Just because they created one zoo,
Hmm.
they didn't create other zoos. And you have options to join what circus or zoo that you want to go to. Be careful because the zoo that you bite sometimes can feed you.
Mm.
I leave with this one biblical scripture that is on my mind right now. And I want you all to remember it. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you, and I will uphold you in my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. That's been on my mind to read that. And I just want us to stay encouraged, keep Madam President in your prayers. And have a great week and you join us if you can. Honoring Trustee Triplet this weekend. Thank you. May I have a vote? Sorry.
I make a motion that we, adjourn.
I second.
I still want to get some popcorn and peanuts from the zoo. No, I'm sorry. Call for the vote, Secretary Triplet.
Yes, yeah,
We're at the zoo, so you got to
Vice
start that.
President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
meeting is adjourned at 8:26.
The circus ain't in yet.